Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be continuing on the Python series here. We're going to be analyzing a unique application of Python to analyze data and to scrape data. But before we get into this video, I wanted to shout out a special subscriber, Alan Key, who requested for me to make this video. So if you're watching this, man, I hope you enjoy it. And really what we're going to be doing here with this application is we're going to analyze stock data. So if you're interested in business, interested in analyzing stocks, this is a pretty cool way to analyze and scrape data from certain stock sites, such as Yahoo Finance, to analyze the stock itself and to analyze certain, for example, the lows of the stock, the highs of the stock, and of course using code, and that is using Python language. So this is a pretty cool way to use Python and an application to use Python. And with that being said, guys, let's get into it. And first things first, you can see here that I've included comments here, so feel free to read them as we go. Well, the very first comment I have is we want to pip install Yahoo Finance. So that we can use that application, right? We can import YF, as you can see in this next comment. So pip install Yahoo Finance. And you should see here all of this kind of code here or output, so that we are ready now to import Yahoo Finance as YF, which is our next comment. So let's do that. So we want to import Yahoo Finance as YF. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do here is we want to store the ticker we want as symbol. Now you can store this as whatever you want, but what I'm trying to say here is we want to say, for example, symbol is equal to whatever ticker value. Let's make that single, Tesla. So the ticker is the stock, and I'm just storing it as the symbol object. And for this video, we're going to look at Tesla. Okay. Now what we can then do is we want to use the ticker method, which we can store it. Of course, we want to store Tesla is what we're analyzing. So how this is going to work is that we're going to say ticker is equal to YF dot the ticker method. As I said, here is the ticker method, YF dot ticker, and we're going to pass in that symbol object here, which I stored as Tesla. So we write symbol. Cool. So we ran that cell. And also something I wanted to mention here is that you could also manually just write out the Tesla symbol. So if you just said Tesla, that would have worked fine as well. But that's just another method of writing or inputting and storing the ticker that we want into this method here. Okay. The next thing here, yes, I have a pretty long comment, but the next thing I want to do is we're going to utilize the .history method. And what this will do is that it will obtain historical prices for various periods, from 1 day to the maximum available. So these are ranges of data and at different frequencies. What I want to show you guys here is what I'm trying to say, or what I'm really emphasizing, is that if you go to the Yahoo Finance website, which I hope I have it open here. Here we go. So this is Tesla. And if you go to charts, you can actually see the graph of the stock here, analyze its stock. Right now it's doing pretty well, it seems. But let me move my cursor around. So if you see here on the left, you can see open, high, low, close. Those are all the variable values that we can analyze and we can graph. That should be there. So you can see that it sometimes fluctuates here, up, down, these certain variables. So that's what we want to do. We want to extract these variable data, this open, high, close variables, and analyze the ups and lows and just analyze the overall trend of these values and to graph them, as I mentioned. So again, if you want to go to Yahoo Finance and analyze a certain ticker, the best way to do so is go to chart. You can also go to historical data. Historical data gives you the raw data of the variables that we want to analyze. So overall, open has an increasing trend, so does high, low, from the days in the month of October to August and so on. But if we go back to chart, so as you can see, I went back to chart here, you can see the date range. So that's how we're going to analyze, for example, the data in terms of the certain range that will pass in. So in terms of 6 months to years and so on. So you can really tweak this with certain data ranges that are shown here. And we can analyze them in terms of, again, these variables that we will graph, open, high, low, and so on. Okay, so let's go back to our code here. So I'm going to say data is equal to, we will say ticker dot history, and then we will say period is equal to, and you can see here the intervals I said could be, for example, let's say period is 6 days. So you can say period is 6 days, and then the intervals, as I mentioned here, can be 1 month, 3 months, 6 days. We'll say 1 month or 1M. And I need to write out the interval is equal to 1 month. And we need to have 2 Boolean values that we need to set as true. So those are actions. We need to set that as true. And also auto adjust is equal to true. Perfect. And then the last thing we can do here is we can call in the data, the object that I stored everything here, the info method. And what this info method will do is that it will basically give us the raw data, as I mentioned, for the certain variables that we can graph. So let me run this. Here it is. So these are the certain variables you saw in the Yahoo Finance. There was open, there was high, there was low, close, and the data type, it also gives you that, which was a float. And in case you don't know what a float value is, it is a decimal point. It is not a really integer value. It's not a whole value. So that's cool. We can see the raw data, the type, and kind of see how we're going to organize all of this. Now, the really final step we have here is all we need to do is just to graph all of this. Now, keep in mind that using data, of course, right? I stored everything as data in the above cell. The way we have to write this out is we need to say data and double brackets. I need to put a bracket within a bracket. Okay. Now there was how many variables? We can graph, for this purpose, we can graph, let's say, open, high, and low. So I will say open, high, and let's say low. And then we need to use a dot plot method, of course, to graph. And then we can also put alpha, and that alpha here is just going to impact or influence the transparency of the graph that we will see in just a moment. So we can say alpha equals, for now, 0.5. Okay, cross our fingers, hopefully this works. So let's run it. There we go. And voila, there is a graph. But over time, you can see here that open is increasing, low is also increasing as an overall trend, and then high is also increasing. And then it gives you a range of values of that we're going to analyze. So that's pretty cool. And then again, you can just analyze it and just see, for example, in certain ranges of date time or certain ranges of periods, we can see low. Overall, though, it's going to be increasing, since, again, as we saw in the Yahoo Finance, if I go back to kind of the historical data, the raw data, and hopefully it will show, we saw that overall all the variables that we graphed here were increasing. And that makes sense. They have an overall increasing trend. They did sometimes fluctuate, but again, overall the trend is increasing. So if we saw here, that is true. That is what we intended, and it made sense that it was increasing, and the graph that is shown here is correct. So again, overall, the concept of this video was to show you guys a unique application of Python. Really cool ways to use code to extract data, to scrape data from websites such as Yahoo Finance. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful, informative, and enjoyable. And with that being said, again, hopefully you guys took something away, found more interest in coding, and until then, I will see you in a future video.